Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Pedagogically Speaking. So, this is a podcast where we are going to grow, we are going to reflect, and we are going to thrive as teachers together. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Alana Huffer. I'm an inclusive education teacher, mentor, and someone who has spent years walking alongside educators through the highs, the lows, and all of the moments in between. This podcast is my way of sharing the wisdom that we all gain, not from textbooks, but from classrooms, relationships, and real experiences. My goal is simple: to help you feel more confident, more grounded, and more supported every single week. I want to start by telling you a quick story. A few years ago, a new teacher I was mentoring came to me absolutely overwhelmed. She said, "I feel like everyone else knows what they're doing, and I'm just trying to survive." We've all been there, right? It's hard. And I just remember saying to her, "The only difference between you and the teachers you think are confident is that they've simply had more chances to realize they can survive hard days." It's really important that we break that fourth wall for our new teachers. And I don't just mean teachers new to the profession. I also mean teachers maybe who've gone to a new grade level or started in a specialist position. Teachers really have that imposter syndrome, and we really need to step away from that and make sure that we are helping our colleagues ground themselves and understand that they are really great. If you are showing up with kindness inside of you and a fever dream to have students learn, and you are committed to taking the barriers away from learning, then you are doing great and you are showing up and you are doing fantastic work. That moment really did stay with me because I've heard versions of it from early career teachers, veteran teachers, specialists, and honestly, even people in leadership roles, because confidence is not something that we are magically born with. None of us, not even educators. It is something that we build slowly, intentionally, through practice and reflection. And honestly, we build it best together, not alone or in isolation. It's when you are teaching something and the student gets it, or it's when, personally for me, my confidence is always given a bit of a boost when I am learning alongside my students. Like we're working together and they're teaching me how they learn best so that I can cater all my lessons to how they learn. And those are those aha moments, and they build up and they build up and they build up, and you have to try so hard not to knock it down, not to let one thing that goes wrong or one bad day or one thing that someone says to you in the hallway that they're not even thinking about knock any of that confidence down. And the way we do that is through community. And I think for me, that is really why I wanted to do this podcast, because community becomes smaller and smaller. And I want to have conversations, and I want to hear your wisdom and share mine. And I want that reassurance that I've seen transform teachers, and to really put those tools right into your hands, and also kind of have you do the same for me through your comments and through having people on this podcast, because there's too much going on where we are in isolation because we don't have, our collaboration time is taken away, or, we just don't have time before school, after school. I know I'm personally working every lunch break. Not that you're supposed to. Don't do it. Don't fall into the trap. But it's hard, especially right now. It is report card season. Oh my goodness. So there is just so much to do right now, and it is never ending. And it's so funny. I got an email. We got emails the other day being like, "Oh, would anybody like to do a lunch club, a club, or before or school or after school, or any kind of club?" And it's like, "Oh, I don't have the time." I don't have the time, and I'm drinking twice as much coffee as I normally do to try to pretend that I have more time in the day than I actually do. So, I'd love to hear what you are doing during report card season to both keep yourself sane and to get those report cards done. So. Let me know. I'd love the tips, please. So, back to the podcast. Here's what you can expect every week. We're going to have short, meaningful episodes that you can listen to when you're commuting to school or when you're unwinding or maybe when you're working over your lunch break. And I really want to make sure that we're talking about practical tools that you can use tomorrow, stories from real classrooms, strategies that work with diverse learners from many backgrounds, mentorship insights, and a whole lot of heart and passion. Teaching is really hard work. We all know that. And it is also heart work. And we really should not be doing it alone. So I hope you can join me and I hope we can come together. So today, for the very first official topic, I just really wanted to talk about something that I think so many teachers really quietly struggle with, and that is confidence. And I want to tell you something that might surprise you. Teacher confidence has almost nothing to do with being perfect. And it has everything to do with being consistent. So, it's not about perfection. It's not about Pinterest perfection. It isn't about knowing everything. Quite frankly, confidence can come from understanding that you do not know everything. It really is about trusting the fact that you can handle whatever happens. You've got it. And we often think confidence comes from flawless lessons or perfectly behaved students or having all of our planning done and and the right amount of photocopies. It's feeling caught up. But honestly, confidence comes from completely different places. Let me walk you through three of them. So here's a truth every teacher needs to hear. You don't need perfect moments. You need repair moments. Okay. Confidence isn't built on the days that go smoothly. Those are great pick-me-ups. Those are great boosts of energy almost. But really, confidence is built on the days where you are saying to yourself, that didn't work. But you know what? I'm going to try something new. Okay. It's kind of like if you're a parent, potentially, this Bluey episode where it's the checklist. Like, okay, have a cry, like give yourself a hug, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and do it again. Okay. And that's really where the confidence is. When you can understand that something didn't work, it's nothing to do with you. You are doing great. You tried something. Okay. It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to work or it's not going to work. Both of those ways that it goes is just information for you. It worked, great. What's your next step? It didn't work, great. What's your next step? Okay. So it is just information. It's also thinking, this student struggled. I can adjust, right? That's what assessment is for. That's what that formative assessment you're doing every day. You're teaching something. You're asking, who knows this? Maybe you're not picking hands. Maybe you're asking some students. Maybe you're going and checking in with them one-on-one or in a small group. And you're saying, okay, you know what? This didn't click for the student. I'm going to adjust this so it does click for the student. It's also that conversation was hard. I'm going to revisit it tomorrow. The teachers who seem calm and grounded, they're not perfect. They're just comfortable repairing. They've been through enough things to know the sun will rise tomorrow. I will do this all again. And I've learned from something today. And that is confidence. I remember years ago working with a newer teacher. And even though I was new to the school, I had been teaching a few years. And so I did end up mentoring a little bit with this teacher. And she got so nervous because she would take her class out for 5 to 10 minutes on the playground, probably once a block. And I remember she was worried that people were watching her, people were judging her. And I said, no one is watching you. No one is judging you. First of all, everyone's busy with their own class. And all you're doing is ensuring that your students have a body break. They are able to learn when you bring them back into that class because you have let them go outside, get some fresh air, look at the sky, and run around. This was 7 years ago now. She just got married, actually. And I just think, you know what we know now is that students need breaks and we give them body breaks. So she was doing this and she was worried she was doing the wrong thing. And she wasn't. She's doing what research tells us is, quite frankly, vitally important to children's learning. And so just have that in mind. When you are thinking someone's watching you, someone's judging you, no one is judging you. We are here, we are educators, and we are building a community together, and we are here to support. Confidence comes from small wins. So we underestimate the power of small wins. And confidence grows when you help a student understand regrouping. That is huge right now. Oh my goodness. As an inclusive education teacher, I'm focusing mainly on literacy at the moment, but I do have some numeracy that I'm helping teachers with, and everyone is coming at me with regrouping. So I actually worked with a student the other day, just trying to help them regroup. It was actually going a lot better than I thought it might, but everyone's really struggling with regrouping right now. So if you are a teacher and your students are struggling with regrouping, one, know that you're not alone. Two, let me know how that's going. And if you are someone that's like, oh, my students are regrouping, please share in the comments below and let us know your tricks, because it is quite a lot, using the Shelley Gray, using the Nikki Lynam, and just, it's a lot of practice, a lot of small group, it's a lot of working in quiet spaces. I find is really, really helpful, for at least for the students that I'm working with. Confidence grows when you help a student understand regrouping, when you are able to support a dysregulated student and bring them back to calm, when you're able to make a tiny shift that changes your whole lesson and makes it easier for your students to understand, taking away that barrier to learning for them. And it's when you try a new strategy that actually works, which is always great. And it's when you have that positive moment with a student who's just been struggling, when you're able to make that connection. Small wins compound. And when you look back, you realize, hey, I'm actually doing a lot more than I thought I was. You don't need a huge transformation to feel confident. You just need tiny proof, repeated often, that what you're doing really does matter. And confidence really, really grows. You want to build your confidence really fast? It grows when you stop comparing yourself to other people. There is no faster way to drain your confidence than comparing yourself to the Pinterest perfect teacher, or trying to be them, or the colleague with flawless anchor charts. For me, it's the colleague with a flawless bulletin board in the hallway. You don't want to compare yourself to the person whose class always seems quiet. Certainly never my class. The teacher who's always ahead on their planning. Here's the truth. Every teacher, including you, is good at something. Some excel at relationships, some at structure, some at creativity, some at assessment, some at calmness, at joy. And the confidence comes when you recognize your strengths, not when you try to copy someone else's. Your classroom needs you, your students need you, and not the teacher down the hall. So here is the heart of it all. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you are constantly building, slowly and gently, through practice, reflection, and grace. Every single teacher, including you, deserves to feel confident in your skills and the impact you are having to those students. Remember, you are allowed to grow and you are allowed to learn. You're allowed to try again tomorrow. You already have everything you need to be a great teacher. Confidence is really just part of the process of realizing that. Okay? You might think that, oh, those students did better with that teacher, or I should be doing that. No, those students are doing great with you. Those connections you're making, the safe space you're creating in the classroom for these students, that is what matters most. And so just understand that and build your confidence from that. Talk to yourself kindly. If you wouldn't speak the way you talk about yourself about a friend, then please make sure you're not speaking that way about yourself. Okay? It is a hard job. It gets increasingly harder as funding less and less, as the resources go more and more away, and as we need to, quite frankly, be our own textbooks and create our own resources and textbooks. You are doing great. There's no buts about it. So keep your head high. I hope your coffee is strong. And if you don't drink coffee, I hope your tea is hot. And if you don't drink either of those, then I'm really hoping you've got something to keep you going, because it is hard out there. So please, if you can, find your community. Go outside of your comfort zone, but don't burn out. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who know how amazing you are. And also make sure that you understand that you are amazing. So if it's saying hi to more of your colleagues, if it's stopping in when you know you've got 10 minutes for a quick conversation, if it's asking for some resources or some help with a lesson, please make sure that you're connecting with the community that is around you and that you are remembering that you are a great teacher. Build that confidence and know that truth inside of you. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to this very first episode of Pedagogically Speaking. I am really excited to walk this journey with you, to share stories, strategies, and reflections that help us show up as the best versions of ourselves. If today's episode gave you even a small moment of clarity or encouragement, I'd love for you to join me next week as we dive into relationships as the foundation of learning and how to build them, even with students who push you away. Until then, take a breath, offer yourself some grace, and remember, you're doing better than you think.